All right, we are going to begin. So I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully you all can see me. So welcome to VSTE. My name is Heather Hurley, and I am one of the VSTE board members, and you are here for the New Virginia Digital Learning Integration Standards of Learning. And the room will also be moderated by Gina Powell. So Gina, if you want to give a wave there, and she'll be checking and making sure that all of your issues are addressed. At this point, I would like to introduce Mark Saunders. Mark is a Technology Integration Coordinator for the Virginia Department of Education, and he's going to talk to us about the new Digital Learning Integration Standards. So Mark, I will turn it over to you. Well, Mark, I think you need to unmute.
Still ask why the need for two sets of computer or technology related standards.
Mark, could you go back because you were muted for the beginning of it? Sorry about that.
Yep, I can do that. I'll start it over.
Good afternoon, and thank you for choosing this session titled Meet the New Virginia Digital Learning Integration Standards of Learning. These are new standards, not revisions to the computer technology standards. They replace the former computer technology standards with a name more indicative of their content and avoids confusion with the computer science standards. I say confusion because since the computer science standards were approved a few years ago, we're still asked why the need for two sets of computer or technology related standards. Also, in years past, the focus of the computer technology standards was on the use of various technologies and the related skills in the use of those technologies. These new standards represent a change in mindset to the essential role of technologies in the deeper learning experiences of students within content areas that allow them to develop competencies to function in multiple roles in learning and in an ever-increasing digital world. With this change in mindset to the essential role of technologies in the deeper learning experiences of students, learning is the focus, not the technology. That is the most significant difference between the old and new standards. Another difference between the old and new standards is that the new standards focus on the multiple roles in which students function in learning and in that digital world. Also, the format of the new standards break out the standards by strand with the related learning priorities and grade band performance indicators. I'll show a graphic of this new format in a few slides. I'll start off with the first three differences. Digital learning is the focus, specifically the digital learning experiences of students. The intent is that students will develop functional literacy as digital citizens in 7 different roles. Those roles are the 7 strands of the standards. Students are not the only ones functioning in one or more roles. The educator's role is not just to provide terms to be learned. Educators also must facilitate digital experiences for students through innovative instructional practices. Instead of 5 strands focused on technology skills, there are 7 strands that are roles that students function in while learning and while existing in a digital world. This is the old format that provided the grade band, the strand, and the skills. This is the new format that shows a vertical progression through the grade band instead of showing a single grade band like the other standards. We received a good amount of positive feedback on vertical progression for allowing teachers to see the connection among grade bands. What's different is the learning.
Hey, Heather. Heather?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm seeing the comments in the chat. For whatever reason, the playback of the video, the audio seems to be hard for people to hear. So what I'd like to do, because I want to make sure the information comes through to everyone, what I would like to do is from slide number 7 here, go ahead and do this live. It's recorded, but for whatever reason, I recorded it with a headset, but the playback people aren't getting, and I want them to get the information. So is that okay?
That is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope if you give me a minute, let me stop sharing for a moment, and then I will.
Priority component added
Oops.
to the standard statement as a performance indicator component.
Give me a moment, and I will pick up with slide number 7. Okay, so I'll start here with slide number 7. Okay. So this is a new format that shows a vertical progression through the grade bands instead of showing a single grade band like the old slides. We did receive a good amount of positive feedback on the vertical progression for allowing teachers to see the connections among the grade bands. A fourth difference is the learning priority component added to the standard statement and performance indicator component. The learning priority helps to connect the standard statement to the performance indicator. Think of it this way: the standard statement, learning priorities, and performance indicators are like goals, objectives, and strategies. The fifth and final difference between the old and new standards is the wording added to communicate the connection of each learning priority to the relevant attributes of the 5 C's that make up the profile of a Virginia graduate. As a follow-up to the new standards, work on the creation of crosswalk documents and learning examples within the content areas will start early next year now that the standards have been adopted. The learning examples are intended to help teachers see how the grade band performance indicators can be recognized during instruction in content areas. I want to talk some about the phrasing and terminology used in the standards. The term appropriate technologies used throughout the standards is intended to be inclusive of all technologies, programming and coding tools, and resources in an effort to allow for flexibility in local implementation and to minimize the impact of emerging technologies on learning and instruction. The technology should be readily available and regularly used as an integral and ongoing part of a student's deeper learning experiences. However, available technologies may not be limited to traditional technologies of content areas such as robotics, video microscopes, graphing calculators, probeware, geospatial technology, spreadsheets, and programming or coding tools. Additional machine and web-based technology should also be considered. While availability of technologies will vary by school and school division based on the number of factors, please view these standards as aspirational standards to be used as leverage during discussions with your leaders about innovation efforts. In some grade band performance indicators, students are asked to learn based on guidance from an educator. In other grade band performance indicators, they are requested to learn through collaboration with an educator. The intent of both indicators is the gradual development of student agency, starting with direct guidance when appropriate and progressing to a student experience of shared decision-making based on the complexity of the learning priority. In some performance indicators, the phrase learn about is used and explore is used in other performance indicators. Learning about is applicable when there's specific knowledge or skills such as ownership or sharing information, respect of others, or personal data is necessary. Whereas exploring is applicable when considering information, for example, technologies, real world issues or problems, or possible solutions. As I mentioned earlier, our next steps are the creation of companion guidance documents to support the use of the standards. We're looking to create a glossary, a crosswalk that's similar to the computer science alignment document, along with learning examples and additional guidance and resources. So I have a question for the attendees. Now, this was pre-recorded, but since I'm doing it live, I haven't set up a poll because I thought this was going to be pre-recorded. But here's the question I have. Really is something that I'd like feedback on for the rest of this session. What additional resources are needed? For example, implementation FAQs with the computer science standards. Tim developed an implementation FAQs that people can view. I know with our mathematics people, they have instructional videos to support the math SOLs. And then a web-based hub, our virtual learning team of Meg and Reggie, they've created a virtual learning hub. So I'm interested in feedback on what other resources might be helpful. And then also within the description for the session, there is a link to a survey. And this is a survey containing 2 questions that all of the DOE staff members that are doing presentations during VSTE are also asking as part of their questions. So I don't need your response today, but if you would, before going to the next session or sometime during the conference, if you can click on the survey link that's in the session description and provide us with your responses to these 2 basic questions, and I won't read them verbatim. We basically want to know, based on how we currently communicate with you in terms of information and resources, what are some other ways or what are some preferences you have for how we can continue or improve on how we work with you in the areas of technology and virtual learning? Second question deals with professional development. What additional professional development needs might you have that we can assist you all with in the future? And based on your responses, we will respond accordingly. So that's the end of my formal presentation. I'll go to the chat and Heather, are there any questions?
Not yet.
So not yet, but since it's now opened up, what questions do you have for Mark around these new learning standards?
Or suggestions? And I see where the link has been posted, so thank you there, Gina.
You're welcome. I also placed a survey there as well.
Okay. Are these online already? Yes, they are. And in the session description, I provide a link to the web page that shows all of the standards, and I kind of broke them out in different ways. I have all of them for all grade bands so that you can see strand by strand the full vertical progression from K to 12, but we also provide the documents in grade bands. So if you are doing a training on the sessions with your K2 team, you can look at just the K2, the 3, 5, 6, 8, or 9, 12 standards separately.
There is a question about, well, it would be nice to have some examples of how to meet these standards while teaching your content, so they aren't separate or out of context.
Yep, exactly. That's the idea of the crosswalk. Is very similar to, and I think I can show, if I'm still sharing my screen, let me share another document with you. I'll show you, if you're familiar with the computer science alignment document that does that. Let me bring that up right here. This is the computer science alignment document, and what it shows here on the left side of the table are different computer science standards, and the right side are opportunities for integration. So it's showing where within the content areas, these are opportunities to cover the computer science standards, but within the content area. And also, as I mentioned during the presentation, we want to do more than this. We want to create some learning examples. And those are examples that if you look at one of those grade band performance indicators, it's saying what the student should do. But I think it would be great to not necessarily have a full lesson plan, but some lesson activities or some examples of, here's some ways in which, as you're working with students in a content area, here's something you can consider that will allow you to recognize and see that they are performing based on what that performance indicator is requesting. So yeah, that's, and in terms of we don't want it to be out of context. We definitely are moving away from teaching it technology for the sake of technology. It's about the content. It's about learning. It's about the skill development and digital learning, the integration. That's all just part of the learning process, as they are also learning content. Computer science is linked on the right menu. Okay.
And there was a question about code. Well, one, if you could share the link to the computer science alignments. And was Code Virginia working on lessons for each of these standards?
That one I can't answer. I no longer work directly with computer science. Ann Peterson, our science coordinator, currently covers computer science, and that was the case, I think maybe the last year or two when Tim Ellis was with us. But in case you had not, maybe haven't heard, we are now hiring for a computer science coordinator. So our intent now is to bring out computer science separately so that there's a coordinator for that area, and that person would be working on that. So I really can't speak to the latest work within the last year or two done with Code VA, because I wasn't working with it. That was Tim Ellis and Ann Peterson. But I can, so here's the link to the computer science alignment. Another thought I just, again, considering is the idea of videos. And if I can, I really need to just share my entire screen. Let me do that. That way I can go from place to place. Also, within our math area, I think it is. Well, here is the virtual learning hub that I was talking about. I think this would be another great place that, just like Reggie and Meg have done virtual learning is one type of digital learning. Digital learning is also just purely in person. So I think something like what they have here, it's sort of one-stop shopping where all the resources are in one place as it relates to digital learning. So I'm considering that. Also, if I go to our, real quick, let me show you what our math people have done. They have instructional videos. Find those real quick. Yeah, they have a full page now. That my only concern with this is because this is a content area, they have instructional videos based on different skills. And with digital learning, we're not focusing just on the skills alone. It's within the context of the content area. So I'm not sure we want to create a bunch of videos like that. But those are just some of our thoughts there.
And Mark, in the chat, Josh had put about how in the past, most of the ownership of these skills have fallen on ITRTs to do. So as we continue to help our classroom staff take ownership over these skills, it would be great to meet with division level peers. And just seeing what you just showed there, how can those skills then be overlaid into these other areas on the website?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the purpose of an ITRT, if in the truest sense, not a technician. That's absolutely excellent point.
Right. Let's see, Code VA has lessons that were created by fellow teachers. These are available. Oh, great. Thank you, Farah.
Yeah, thank you, Farah. Nice to see you in my session. So if there are any other thoughts, or other ideas that people have, if they can include those in the chat as well. I asked the same question during the Leading Ed Forum back in October. I got a few comments on the suggestions that I mentioned earlier, but not many in the way of other things to think about. We want to make sure that we're meeting your needs. I feel like we've made a huge step in getting away from technology-based skills and that's why we didn't call them digital learning standards, because we wanted that word integration in there, because that's the idea of integrating digital learning, making it's part of learning in general, regardless of the content area.
So Mark, Jessica Campbell, she said that Common Sense Education and Code.org has CS lessons that integrate content areas too.
Okay, great. Okay. And I'll add one more thing. If anyone is interested, and what I may do, I guess this is you're putting yourself out there. What I'm interested in, just like when we created the standards, I created different committees: a steering, teacher review, and external committee. I'm going to bring together different people from the school division, school level, to kind of help create these resources. If you're interested, please contact me, and by your name in the chat, I'm going to just ask you, since you're offering, I'm just going to throw it out there, the opportunity. Obviously, you're not committed, but I'm definitely looking for people to help us develop these resources.
Mark, are you able to throw your email address there in the chat, even though I'm sure they can get it through Sketch, but just since we're here.
There it is right there. That was my last slide.
Perfect. Thank you. So any other questions?
Well, we have some people that are interested.
Perfect.
Staley from Virginia Beach, Shannon Floyd from Newport News, Jessica Campbell.
Thank you.
So they're putting their name in the chat, and this is being recorded, so he'll have your names.
Yep. Very good.
Exactly. And the conversation can continue on Discord. So if you haven't been over to Discord yet, please hop on over there and look for this particular, oh, look, Mark had it up already.
Oh, great.
There you go. So yeah, you can look, there's the link, and you are looking by the room. So this is Crystal A, so you can hop on over there and continue the conversations. So I myself have to get in there too. Anything else you'd like to add, Mark, or any more questions for Mark?
No, that's it. Thank you. I look forward to working with those that are interested. Hopefully this has been helpful. Apologize for the audio at the beginning. And was there a link to the computer science alignment document? Yep, that was shared. So that's all. Just thank you very much.
I just put it back in there one more time for folks. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Mark. We appreciate it. And I hope that everyone has a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.